All right, so looks like we are doing a video on Google Calendaring and how it can be easy. Google Cal offers a variety of different features that are really helpful. I would say the biggest one, as you can see here, is that you can set when a task repeats. The reason why that's important is because it can save you time from entering events into your calendar that are repetitive, right? For me, I always like to have a morning routine. So that's something that always I'm doing every day, right? So those are my daily tasks. So what you need to decide is what is something that you're going to be doing daily, what is something you're going to be doing weekly, and what is something that you're going to be doing monthly, and etc. And these are things that you do. You do this every freaking year or whatever, you know what I mean? Some things are annual, like taxes, you know what I mean? So really, it's going to be, I guess, tedious to identify what these different things are, but trust me, you're already identifying what they are. But then you're doing it every year over and over again. So by taking a second to just write it down and do it in this format, you could determine how you want to run different things. Okay, so yeah, like for example, annual, I'll say taxes or birthdays, right? Those are some good annual examples. And bi-weekly, okay, let's say payday is bi-weekly. I used to remember tracking my paydays every time because it was something that I really, really needed. I still need it, but I'm less tedious about tracking it, I guess, because of fortunality, I guess. Okay, so weekly things would be like what? Grocery shopping, um, etc. Now, I don't recommend that you put chores on here because there's a lot of chores, and so I actually prefer to use a separate app for just chores. But pretty much anything else can fit in here without overwhelming the calendar. But chores, since there's so many different chores out there, from sweeping to you know what I mean, like if you put chores in here, you're going to have a very crowded Google Calendar. Trust me, I've tried it. And as a matter of fact, it caused me to kind of move away from that. But I came back to it because it is, in the end, more productive than any other format that I've been able to try so far. And again, the power is in these recurring events, okay? So let's say, for example, here you have your morning event, your morning routine, right? And you want that to be something that starts at 8 o'clock, or well, let's keep it simple here. What I like to do is this. I don't like to do all day. I like to set my time period, and I know this is gonna sound odd at first, but I'll explain. At 12 a.m. and this is a daily task, right? So I'll put it at 12 a.m. and what I'll do is I will make sure there's no. I'll go to the more options tab here. So keep in mind I have a background, by the way. Google Calendar generally has just a white background, so you're seeing that here. So don't let that confuse you. Yours will not look like that. It will have just a white background here. If you want to know how to put a background, talk to me, reach out to me, and I'll show you how. Now back to this. See how it has notifications, 10 minutes and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the reason why it's important, I think, to control your notifications, especially when it comes to repeating items, is that your computer, your tablet, your phone is going to notify you. And you don't want to be annoyed with notifications, but you also don't want to be underwhelmed with notifications. So for the daily tasks, things you do every day, I recommend just doing 10 minutes before because you do it every day. You're very familiar with the timing and things like that, okay? I recommend doing additional notifications for things that you're putting one time that are more custom, more unique, okay? But the first thing to do when you're building your Google Calendar system, so where it results in literally a daily checklist of things you need to do, is you need to identify what you're doing all the time. So your morning routine, let's put that as a day. Oh, it's showing all my stuff. I wanted. Oh, you know why it did that? Hold on. Sorry about that. It did that because I didn't make a new calendar for you guys. Okay, so let me do this. Take this off and make a new calendar. So you'll go here and you go to my calendars and you can go make a new one. Does it let me do another one? Let me see here. Settings, let me see. General, add calendar. Okay, see, I can add a calendar, create new calendar. All right, so this column is a little dark, okay, but you can see as I'm highlighting it. And again, yours will not have a background, so you should be able to see all this stuff clearly. And so you'll go here, create new calendar, and you'll put like personal calendar, right? Because I have a feeling once you get a hang of this, you're going to be making more than one, or you may be linking other people's calendars so you guys can both mutually calendar. Okay, to increase productivity. All right, I don't know about you, but I like to freaking put emojis. So let me show you what I mean with that here. So I'll put emojis and I'll just be like, I don't know, up. You know what I'm saying? All right, to increase productivity. So create calendar, right? So personal calendar. All right, so now I've created a personal calendar, and I can go here to personal calendar. Okay, so when I go here, personal calendar is lit. So let me go ahead in that example that I was trying to propose earlier and do, let's set a time frame 12 to 12:30, right? However long your morning routine takes, right? So mine takes 30 minutes. Root some morning routine, repeats daily, and go to more options because I want to make sure I don't have too many notifications. A 10-minute notification is fine. So we'll do that, okay? So now what this means is that if I don't move this morning routine anywhere at 12 a.m., I'm going to get a notification, or technically around 11:50 the night before, right? So you don't want to leave this here. What you want to do is, since today's the 6th, so tomorrow's the day I got to plan out, right? So say you have multiple tasks that your daily tasks. These are things you do every day. So remember to pick things that you need to do every day, not things that are nice to do every day, because then you're going to be doing a bunch of extra work, and who has the time like that, right? So that 30 minutes, that morning routine, I have room for it. I know that that morning routine is crucial for my day. Every single day I can afford the time for it, right? So tomorrow's the next day. You plan each day, right? So you move your events that are daily to the appropriate slot. So I'm going to wake up at 7, okay? So I'm going to change the where that location is, but only for this event. Don't hit all events and um, this in the following events unless you try to make some changes that are permanent across all the board with that task, okay? So I'll just do this event because I don't wake up at the same time every day. I don't know about you guys, but my day is very variable. So yeah. So you can plan one day ahead or your whole week. My recommendation is planning 1 to 2 days ahead so you can account for changes and not feel overwhelmed, okay? So I usually plan 1 day ahead, so you'll move your morning routine, yada yada, etc., right? Each week though, you are going to want to put in your weekly tasks. So every week you will plan those tasks that you're going to do one time, or you're going to put in your class schedule. Let's say you have class here, okay? So class, and then you're gonna go up here and you're gonna put repeats weekly, or you can do custom, right? So repeats weekly Tuesday and Thursday, and ends on, let's say my semester ends July 21st. So on July 21st, this event will disappear on its own. I won't even have to worry about it because I already set a time for it to disappear. So I'll put this in the calendar, and as you can see, we have class here, right? That's a fixed thing. I can't adjust that. You don't want to adjust that. That's when your class is, right? So you take your daily tasks, right, and you move them accordingly around these fixed schedule things, right? Then you add things that you want to do or extra tasks. So, like for example, maybe today I'm gonna go, I don't know, get to the barbershop, get a haircut, and that's something you actually do regularly. So you could actually put something like that in the bi-weekly or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you get that and do that. But, I'm going to treat this as like a one-time deal or whatever. Let's say, lunch with friend. There we go. That's one that's usually, one time at least. You're not going to be doing that consistently on a fixed schedule with this person, right? So you do lunch with a friend. And what's kind of cool is you can change colors too. Like if you want to color code it, you can change it by right clicking here, or when you go to your making your event, you can choose from your colors. So say for example, what I like to do is make all my social events yellow. That's what I like to do. When it comes to my health stuff, like I feel like getting a haircut is like a health thing, and for me anything health is what I want to do. And then Yeah, so you can get kind of crazy with it to help you kind of sort out the type of task that you're going to be doing. And then, of course, you can put in birthdays, so like I said, when you get your taxes and when to look at your credit score. Once a year, you can look at your credit score for free. And so you can even keep track of when that is. Another thing that's cool is like certain areas you can't park in, for example, for certain time periods. And so what you can do is put in no parking on this on the blank side of the street, blank side of the street. And then when you do that and you set it repeating, right? Instead of repeating every weekday on Monday, right? So when you park your car, well, hopefully you're not having to park your car between 3 and 8 a.m. or whatever. And I don't know, like let's do street sweeping, right? Okay. So let's do all the following events because we want to change all of them, right? So you know that if you're parking your car, you don't want to park in this window because this is when the street sweeping window is. And say this is pretty important, right? Add notification, and I can do notification 45 minutes before, to give me 45 minutes. What? To make sure to be out of that. So all the events, not just this one, I want to change to have that. So now I'll get a notification 45 minutes before, 10 minutes before. So as you can see, it's kind of like building a Lego building, basically, or like you're putting it together. But the benefit of it is that it's there all the time for you, and it's custom to you. And here's the real cool part: is that you can drag these items anywhere. So say my haircut was gonna be at 8 o'clock, right? The barber, I couldn't get there. Something happened. I called the barber. The barber said, "Okay, come back at 5." I'll just go on my computer or my phone and drag this event to 5 o'clock. So you can kind of drag everything. And then the cool part about it is too, is you can see how much time you have between tasks. So make sure you leave space for travel. You know what I mean? So don't try to block everything so close together that it's just not realistic. Like for example, you can't like go to lunch with a friend and instantly go do office work, right? Because you're at lunch with your friend, so you got to drive over to get to your house, right? So let's say your house is 30 minutes away. So by putting this gap, it's like a realistic gap. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you like to be productive when you're driving, right? So you could do podcast and travel. You know what I'm saying? You could do that. So you can listen to a podcast while you travel back to your home office. You know what I mean? To do your home office work. So stuff like that. And depending on what other services you go, like for example, say you're working a really late shift and you want to get groceries delivered to the house, you can do I don't know what are those Instacart. Instacart delivery order pending. So, so what you need to do is like, okay, at 10 o'clock, you're gonna place this Instacart order so everything's delivered to the house, right? And then whoever's there can just put it away. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's all kinds of things you can do to improve your productivity. If this is something you're doing every once a week or whatever, then you'll just set it to a recurring event. Okay? So the sky really is the limit. If you don't want to be overwhelmed, I would say focus on your routines, things, your daily things first. Then branch out to what's weekly. Branch out for what you're going to want to do bi-weekly, and then honestly like monthly, right? But take your time, let things flow naturally. When you do a task or something comes up and it annoys you specifically, right? That's the key word. You get annoyed. Well, that's your cue to put it in the calendar repetitively. Like, you don't have to put taxes in the calendar right now, right? You could just wait until the time of the year comes that you do your taxes. And when you do your taxes, you put it in the calendar and then you set it to repeat. So, and then like for example, birthdays, right? What are you going to do? Go find everybody's birthdays? I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, you could do that. Or you could just wait until someone's birthday comes up, and when their birthday comes up, be like, "Oh, okay. Um, sister's birthday. Well, that would be terrible if you didn't know your sister's birthday, but you get what I'm saying. So and so's birthday repeats annually. Boom. And then that way, you don't have to feel so bad. You didn't have to go and, go ask, hey, when is your birthday? Just so you can have this calendar all filled up. So keep in mind, it is a lifestyle. It's a constantly building process. And guess what? In life, your routines change. So you may not care about doing a morning routine anymore after X amount of years. That's why you want to track your routines on a separate document so you know kind of what you're going to want to take off and put on. That's important to keep track of. And yeah, and then just help you stay productive. Okay, so another thing I like to do is this. Okay, so I really like emojis. However you want to do it, you can do like a zero, or like what's a symbol? You could just pick a symbol that means you completed it, or you can pick a symbol that means you didn't. Okay, so whenever something happens, I don't like to, sometimes I'm just not going to do something. Okay, and so what I like to do is use emojis. That's like my favorite thing. So I'll put X by it if I didn't do it, and I'll make sure to put on my routine just this event, because I don't want to change them all. I want to keep the rest intact for ready for, for the next day to just move around, just this event only. So when you're planning your day and you're dragging your daily events, make sure to not press all events. You just change just this event, okay? But of course, if you do something that you didn't want to do, you can click undo right here and go back. So you're not locked into something per se, right? But just remember, when you're messing with your repetitive or your repeating events, that changing when you change them, make sure you pick just this event only. So you just change that one for that day. Okay. Again, I recommend planning 2 days in advance. I recommend planning your one-time events at the beginning of the week, so that way you can plan other things around. You can plan your daily routines around these tasks, and that way you're not overwhelmed. You can see when your times for breaks are, or you can plan times for breaks and stuff. And again, just don't stack everything so close together unless you have a plan, because remember, travel time does matter. Remember, your energy as a human is finite, and so you want to consider these very human factors. I think it does take some practice, because you're literally matching your plan with reality. And I don't know about you, but for me, I didn't realize how long it would take to do laundry, or how long it would take to do these different tasks. Like I said, don't do chores, so that's a bad example. But like, going to the store, maybe I'll put 45 minutes, but reality with traffic and everything like that, it's actually like an hour and a half. So like things like that. You're gonna learn, and that's just part of the growing process. But in all, I think it's good to put that you completed a task, um, so that way you could just know that you did it. And like, that's the rewarding part about it, is like updating it and like see how that's check mark. I love that. Like, so however you want to do it, I recommend putting some kind of indicator, so you can just know if you did it or not. And if not, like, what's going on. I like to do yellow if I can't do something, or I'm able to partially complete. And I have a rule where I put why. Why is it was I only able to partially complete. So for example, so and so, I was supposed to send an email, right? So I did send an email, but their email address changed. So that's a partially complete task. So you did it, but then so and so's email address changed. So this way, when you are in the future, when you look back at your tasks, you can see what you did and what you didn't do. It's not really about being hard on yourself. It's about tracking what are the priorities and what are not, and what got in the way. I would recommend, if you couldn't do something, putting a reason for that too, at least so you can either adjust or just decide, hey, like when it comes to these types of days, those events take precedence over my morning routine, right? But the reason why your morning routine is important generally, right, is because it creates some sort of stability in your life. So I'm assuming you have it there for some reason, and you're going to try to get most of these done, but maybe not every day will you be able to do so, type thing. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions about Google Calendar or what you can do, there's so much more you can do. You can even do things like this, where you put routines, and then you go here, and then you link your Google Documents to this, and oh my gosh, it gets wild. Because the reason why this gets wild is this. and I just change all events. See, you got to be careful with that. Is that you can click into things like this, and it gets wild, it gets complicated, but I just want to keep it simple. Again, that's the key, keeping it as simple as possible, although I know that sounds wild right now. And also keeping track on a separate document, um, you know, these things so you don't get overwhelmed. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I wish you the very best of day, and I'm going to delete this calendar because I just made it for you guys. Bye.